R&R Law Group. This comes from Rook. Is there a legal case to make that the McCloskeys threatened the protesters with a gun? In that case, could you reasonably charge the McCloskeys with the assault? So this is a great question. Yeah, this is a great question. And it really is going to depend on the law in their particular locality. So let's use the Kyle Rittenhouse case as an example. In Kyle Rittenhouse's case, there's no question that he shot and killed somebody. And there's also no question that he intended to shoot and kill them, right? Or to shoot and probably kill them. He really intended to stop them from chasing him or from killing himself, but he did intend to fire the trigger. He intended to do it. And so he's being charged with intentional homicide. And so many people think, well, but he was defending himself. That's true, but he still did the intentional homicide. So he still shot and killed two people. And so they charged him with that crime, but as we read through the probable cause statement, we also saw that it was written in a way that almost every single factual scenario, almost every single paragraph had a self-defense component to it. So we can know that he did intentionally shoot and kill somebody, but the self-defense component is so strong that it invalidates the underlying crime. In my reading of the law and my interpretation of the facts. Now, the prosecutor's office obviously thinks differently, but it's the same. It's a little bit more clear in Kyle Rittenhouse's case, but it's the same type of analysis that you would apply to the McCloskeys. The McCloskeys, yeah, they technically were brandishing firearms. They technically were pointing weapons at other people. You know, we saw Patricia, we saw Mark. Presumably, there are people on the other end of that line of sight. So presumably the guns are being pointed at other people. And so, yeah, the prosecutor could come back and say, yeah, you know, technically, yes. Were they brandishing firearms? Yes. Were they pointing a firearm at somebody else? Yes. And a lot of that activity is criminalized under the law. So to your question, Rook, you know, could they charge them with assault? The answer would be yes. But the defense would be they were on their private property. These people broke onto their private property. They were physically coming onto their land, which we now know is true because 9 of them got cited, and they were in reasonable fear of imminent injury or death or property damage or whatever it is. Whatever the defense specifics in this jurisdiction are, that would alleviate them of any criminal liability from it. So at that point in time, it becomes up to the prosecutor. Does the prosecutor want to charge them or not? And obviously Kim Gardner does, and I think she's making a big deal out of it. She wants to charge them, and she's going to basically say that the self-defense, that any of the excuse that would alleviate them from having that criminal liability, she's going to say it doesn't exist. So this is where you have to ask yourself as a prosecutor, why are you filing these charges? I ask myself this all the time. Why are these charges being filed? Why is this prosecutor doing this? And it's one of those things that some of them, you can't explain it. I've met many prosecutors who are just true believers. They just think that every single person who comes across their desk is a terrible person and they all need to be punished. I don't think that way about people, but there's other prosecutors who are very reasonable, but we don't know. And some prosecutors, like in my opinion, Kim Gardner, all they want to do is just amplify their public profile, generate more donations, use this as a media tool, and really, weaponize the justice system. That's really what this comes down to. A lot of these prosecutors are weaponizing the justice system. They are trying to use the justice system to serve their political ends. And this case, the McCloskeys and the Rittenhouse case, think about the political issues here that are surrounding these things. If you took the politics out of both of these cases, there weren't national news, there wasn't anything interesting about it, and you just had them sitting in court, and it was me and a prosecutor, I would like to think that the prosecutor, who's also a human being on the other end, would say, yeah, I get it. He was running away. He was getting chased down by 3 people. Of course he fired back, right? You would think that you could have that conversation, but unfortunately, you just can't. You just can't.